Okay, this is just a demo a video to show how you would create a new line style if you're going to use the line style functionality within the software. I'm just going to draw a line approximately 100 mils long. Okay, and this is just a bit of a guide. I'm not going to use the line, but I basically want to create some form of pattern that I can use. So I'm going to draw a couple of clouds out of arcs. So I'm going to draw an arc from this point to here and then back down to here. You can see I'm not being accurate, and I'll put another arc in maybe like that. So these two arcs are going to then get repeated when we draw our lines, and they will form the cloud, for want of a better word, that we're going to use. Now, in order to generate that, and I'll actually don't need that line anymore, I can probably just remove that. I go in down the bottom here to our line styles, and I choose Define Pattern Style. And within this Define Pattern Style, I hit Create the Pattern File, okay? And I select, well, in fact, before I do that, I must pick these two objects, then go to this tool and choose Define Pattern Style and Create Pattern File. Then I'm going to say, follow the prompt, locate the start of the pattern, that's there, and then locate the end of the pattern. Now I'm not going to go right to the end because I kind of want the lines to overlap a little bit, so I'm just going to click roughly here, okay, and I'm going to give it a name down the bottom here, and I'm going to call it Cloud -9, for want of a better name, Cloud 9, why not, and click Save. So now I've got this in the system. I don't need it anymore. They can go, no longer required. But how do I then use that new file that we've created to create a line style? Well, we come in here, we go Define Pattern Style, okay, and we give this new pattern a name, and I'm going to call it Cloudy. That's my new name for it. I'm going to have the height, the scaling for the height at 1 by 1, so it will maintain the same size as I drew it at. I'm going to use paper size, so it's relative to a sheet of paper, not the model. And it wants to know what's the pattern file name. So this is the file that I've just created, the Cloud 9 file. So I hit Browse, and here I've got Cloud 9, and I select Open, and you can kind of see a preview of how that might look. And what I've got to do is, once I've done this and I'm happy with everything, I've got to hit the button called Update. Absolutely essential to do that. You hit Update and then you hit OK. Now, the only number that is able to be used for a defined pattern style is line style number 255. You can't assign 254 to a pattern style. You can only assign 255, and so it defaults to that one, and I could click OK, and you can see down here now that we're going to be drawing in line style 255. And if I then want to draw a cloud, for instance, I'll probably use the curve functionality, and I'll close the curve, and then as I'm drawing, and you can see, I'll just zoom out a little bit, zoom out, it's multiplying those two arcs. You can kind of see them, okay? So you don't want to go around too sharply, because if you do, you end up with these gaps. But essentially, you're just clicking a range of points, right, to come up with your line style. Now, they're not perfect. Openly, we know that this is not an ideal piece of software for doing fancy line styles, but it certainly gives you a lot of functionality, because your line styles can be anything, and they're very easy to create. So that's the general rule and the general methodology around how you would generate a line style. You'll notice too, when you're picking it's wherever the line, an imaginary line right there, is going through that, which would be like that straight line that I started with. It kind of gives it an imaginary position to work to. Now, if I'm drawing a straight line or a rectangle using this, it'll still do exactly the same thing, okay? But you can see it doesn't trim the doubles, so you've kind of got to be a multiple of that double in order to make the square neat. So I'd kind of got to fiddle a little bit, hold it carefully, and then go click in order to get this box to look neat. I don't have to use a double arc. I could have used a single arc. That would have probably made this process just a little bit cleaner. But that's how you generate a cloud style line style within the CAD program.